big game animals are more American than the wild turkey. Benjamin Franklin suggested that the wild turkey should be our national bird, and it was almost designated so. The wild turkey is a lesson in wildlife management, since the bird at one point in history was almost extinct. Now, due to modern game management, due to efforts of the Wild Turkey Federation, and due to a great extent to the efforts of sportsmen all over the United States, some 44 states offer spring gobbler hunting. In this tape, we will be showing you many of the techniques that are necessary for you to be able to take the wild turkey on a spring gobbler hunt. We will be showing you some shooting techniques that are essential. We will spend some time going over the basic calls, hunting techniques that you should use on the spring gobbler hunt. Also, we'll be pointing out the equipment that's necessary. All of these things where you can possibly bag a trophy gobbler will be covered in this tape. So join me now as we explore the world of wild turkey hunting.
This is your host, Jay Warburton, inviting you to join me in another exciting episode in the Sportsman's Workshop video library series. We are going to venture into the heartlands of the South, to the fine state of Alabama. Here we will join my friend and colleague, J. Wayne Fears, at the famous Stag's Head Lodge, where we will have the opportunity to learn directly from Wayne on a one-to-one basis how he has mastered the exciting sport of hunting the most sought-after game bird in the world, the American wild turkey. Let's go now and join Wayne in wild turkey country.
One important part of turkey hunting, as most turkey hunters know, is the art and skill of calling a spring gobbler. One point I'd like to make about this is a lot of hunters have a tendency to overrate calling. They will spend tremendous hours going over different type callers and practicing calls over and over again, and not enough time scouting, learning the shooting skills that are essential in turkey hunting, and learning the terrain in which they plan on hunting in. While turkey calling is important, these other things, in my opinion, rate about 90% of turkey hunting, and calling rates about 10%. However, it is an important skill to know, and the hunter who anticipates hunting the spring gobbler should spend a considerable amount of time working with different calls and callers so that at least he has a good rhythm. The three basic calls that all turkey hunters need to learn to master before they start spring gobbler hunting are the yelp, the cluck, and the cackle. The yelp is the basic call that the hen makes when she first wakes up on the roost in the morning, and when she flies down and hens start feeding, they'll yelp back and forth to one another. It sort of lets them know that all is well. The yelp is a relatively easy call to master, and it sounds like this. One of the things you would like to do is to keep a gobbler guessing exactly where you're located when you're hunting. And one of the ways to do this when you're yelping is to cup your hands in front of your mouth to diffuse the sound. This will get the gobbler walking back and forth, trying to figure out exactly where you're located, and gives you a slight edge as a hunter. The next call you want to master is the cluck. And the cluck is best made, in my opinion, with the box. I don't use a cluck very often simply because it sounds very similar to the putt, which is an alarm call of the turkey. But occasionally a cluck will come in handy when you've tried other type calls and you can't turn a gobbler around or get him to come to you. It's easy to make. You simply put the lid to one side, put a little pressure on it, and tap the lid towards the center. The third sound that a turkey hunter should learn to imitate, and one that requires a tremendous amount of practice, is a cackle. And a cackle is a mating sound that is made by the hen when she is ready to receive a gobbler. And this is a call that you do not hear too often in the woods, and is one you shouldn't use only as a means of last resort. After you've tried yelps and you've tried a cluck, if those things will not work for you, then you want to use a cackle, as a lot of times this will break a gobbler away from other hens and bring it to you. And the cackle sounds like this. You noticed I ended that both times with a low series of yelps. The first caller a lot of hunters like to start with is one that is commonly called a super hen. The super hen caller is easy for the beginner to use. It is a friction type call, and it is simply a dial against either a thin piece of aluminum or a thin piece of slate. And it is easy to pick up a series of yelps. You can cackle on it, you can cluck on it. Another caller that the beginner should consider is one that is a slate call with a dowel. And again, you can make some of the basic calls that you would make with the super hen. Another type caller that a lot of turkey hunters use, and one that used to be probably the most popular many, many years ago, is the box call. And the box call can be used for yelping, clucking. Some people can even cackle on it. And a lot of box calls can be used to gobble on. One of the problems with these type callers is the fact that you have a lot of movement associated with them. And of course the gobbler can spot this movement and be frightened away. Also, some of them are very sensitive to moisture, and on a rainy morning when you're trying to hunt a gobbler and the caller gets wet, then you've got a problem with it functioning properly. Several years ago, a type caller known as the mouth caller or the diaphragm caller came out on the market, and it has overcome many of these problems. This caller is simply a piece of latex stretched between a little metal U with tape around it in order to seal off air so that you can place it in the roof of your mouth and blow air between the tip of your tongue and the latex. Then you can essentially do any call, whether it be a cackle, a cluck, or a yelp. You can purr on it. You can make any of the sounds that's necessary in turkey calling. This gives you the opportunity to get off to yourself somewhere and try to imitate those calls. Or maybe you want to get with a seasoned turkey hunter who knows how to make the calls and try to call with him and imitate his calls. But spend some time, learn the calls, and by all means remember that calling is not all that turkey hunting is all about. When you have completed your calling training during the spring of the year and you feel confident that you're ready to start your turkey hunting program, one of the first things you want to do is spend some time about a month before turkey season scouting. Scouting is extremely important. Regardless of how well you can call a turkey or how well you can shoot or use any of the other turkey hunting skills, if you're not in an area where there are wild turkeys, then obviously you're not going to be very successful. Your turkey scouting should be done early in the morning. And you should start off in an area where turkey are probably feeding, an area such as in a forest of hardwoods along some edges of open fields where there might be clover, alfalfa, something that turkeys will be feeding on. One of the first things that a turkey hunter should look for when scouting for wild turkeys are scratchings. Scratchings can tell you a great deal about turkeys. In this particular oak forest here, we'll find at the base of the trees scratchings that are made by gobblers. These gobblers are looking for acorns. And acorns and other nuts have a tendency to roll from the outer edge of the tree to the base of the tree. And the gobblers, more so than the hens, seem to realize this, and you'll find gobbler scratchings a lot of times around the base of trees. These acorns are extremely important in the spring diet of a turkey, and a lot of times when they're scratching around the base of a tree like this, they're finding insects and other grass seeds and things of this type. Other scratchings that we find that are important when you're scouting for spring gobblers is to find the scratchings out in the open areas of the hardwood forest. This gives you some indication of the direction of travel of that particular flock of turkeys. On this particular type scratching, the turkey will stand on one foot, take the other foot, and pull the ground litter away. Then he will stand on the other foot and pull the ground litter the other direction. What they're trying to do is to bare the surface of the earth so that they can find nuts, insects, green shoots, and things of that type. By scratching in this manner, the turkey is actually giving you a good indication of the movement or direction of movement of the flock. This direction, in this particular case, forms a V, and they're moving directly in front of me down this particular ridge. And when you're scouting for turkeys, when you find this type scratches, it gives you some idea as to where to do your next scouting, on down the ridge and along creek bottoms and things of this type. After you have found scratching of this type and you have some idea of the direction the flock is moving, then you want to look for the second best sign in scouting, and that is the tracks of the turkeys. Tracks are an extremely important part of scouting for wild turkeys. Tracks can tell us, first of all, whether or not turkeys are moving in an area. They can give us some indication as to how recent the turkeys have been in the area, and also they can give us some indication as to the sex of the bird. When scouting for tracks, it is best to look along ditches, old road beds, around the edge of creeks or old fields, or somewhere that it's soft enough so that the turkey track will leave a good impression in the earth. It's difficult for a turkey to leave tracks where there are leaves and litter, such as on a woodland floor. We have here in front of us a couple of turkey tracks. One is made by a hen and the other is made by a gobbler. Now we can look at these tracks and tell they're pretty fresh. One of the things that we'll notice about a fresh track are the very sharp, very well-defined edges. There will not be any ground litter blown into the depressions of the track. And in the case of a rainy season, there will not be any water or moisture much in these particular tracks. These tracks that we're looking at here are extremely fresh. They were probably made this morning. The track that we see here on the left is a hen track, and the track that's on the right is a gobbler track. And the way that we know that is by the length of the middle toe as well as the width of the middle toe. In the gobbler track, the middle toe from the heel to the point of the toe is about 4.5 inches in length. Also, the gobbler track in width is about a 1/2 inch wide. The hen track from the heel to the point of the toe is only about 3 inches. And we can see that in this particular case, this hen track is only about 1/4 inch wide. There's a tremendous amount of difference in these birds, and this difference is shown in the tracks. At the same time you're looking for tracks, then you will want to keep your eyes open for the next important sign in scouting, and that is dusting areas. Dusting areas are extremely important when looking for wild turkeys. This particular dusting site here is ideal. It's next to this old logging road. It's dusty. The birds have been in here dusting themselves primarily to keep insects and parasites off of them. The thing you look for in a dusting site are feathers. The feathers are good indicators as to whether or not there were hens or gobblers doing the dusting. In this particular case here, this was a gobbler that was dusting along the side of this road here. The gobbler feathers that you will pull out and lose when dusting are usually black tipped and has very sharp edges. The hen feathers are usually a buff color, has very irregular shaped edges, and is not nearly as sharp along the outer edge. When you compare the two feathers, it is very easy to see the difference between the gobbler and the hen. Dusting sites are important for that reason. These feathers are good indicators as to the sex of the birds. And perhaps equally important in A lot of times easy to find in the vicinity of dusting areas or droppings left by the wild turkeys. To many turkey hunters, the most important sign that they can find when scouting for wild turkeys are signs that are left by the turkeys themselves, and that is droppings. The droppings give you a good indication as to how long ago the turkeys were in the area, and also gives you a good indication as to sex. Turkey droppings last a very short time in the out of doors, and particularly if it's very moist. Once the droppings dry and get hard, any moisture at all will cause them to disintegrate. In front of me here I have droppings both from the hen and the gobbler. By taking a look at them, the difference in the sex is quite readily apparent. The droppings from the hen are tightly curled, almost a swirl shape. Droppings from the gobbler are elongated and almost form a J in a lot of cases. So it's quick and easy to tell the sex of the bird which made the droppings. All of these points that we have been discussing in scouting are important. The first thing that scouting tells us is whether or not there are turkeys in an area. And second of all, and probably most important, the various indicators of sex that we have pointed out will tell you quickly whether or not you're hunting a flock of hens or you're hunting in the territory of an old spring gobbler. By putting it together, by being serious about your scouting, you can assure yourself of success on a spring gobbler hunt and probably save yourself a lot of time. It's a surprise to many turkey hunters, particularly those who are new to the sport, to learn that the shooting skills, even with a shotgun, in turkey hunting are just as essential as the shooting skills in any big game hunting. The turkey actually offers a very small target to the hunter himself. On most turkey hunts, this is your target. You have the head and the neck area. The body area of the turkey, which would be located down in this area, has heavy feathers over it and will not permit a good penetration of the shot from the shot shell. This is an actual size of a head and neck target on a wild turkey, and this is one of the targets that we use on a pattern board when checking a shotgun to see if it will shoot a turkey pattern at various distances. Today, we have many excellent shotguns available to us for turkey hunting. The type shotguns that most turkey hunters like are either a 12 gauge or a 10 gauge and a full choke, and a gun that is fairly lightweight. We have seen many new shotguns become available in the last year or two with short barrels that are 18, 20, 22 inches, which still are capable of shooting a turkey pattern out at 30 yards, even 40 yards in some cases, and is lightweight and easy to carry in the woods. One of the first things that a turkey hunter should do when he is getting ready to go on a turkey hunt is to check his shotgun on a pattern board. Behind me, you will see a pattern board where we can check the pattern on the head and neck region of a wild turkey. It's important that when you are shooting at the pattern board that you get in the same position that you would probably be in when you were shooting a gobbler in the woods. Most people like to get in the position where they have one knee up, where they can put their shotgun on that knee and raise it up to have support. When you're waiting for the gobbler to come, by resting your shotgun here, you have a very slight amount of movement to get in position to shoot the gobbler. Next, it's important when you're practicing on the pattern board to have your head net on and your gloves on. It gives you all of the feel that you're going to have the morning you're out there than you have a trophy gobbler in front of you. It gives you a chance to work out any bad habits you may have or any uncomfortable feelings that may occur while you are shooting with your head net and your gloves on. It's important that this head net be down all the way, covering your neck, face. The only thing that should be showing would be your eyes. Then get in the same position, load your shotgun, You see, this is an excellent 30-yard shot here. We have a fair number of pellets. It's all up in the spinal area. We have a half dozen, maybe a full dozen pellets that's in the skull area. This is the kind of pattern we're looking for any turkey shotgun at 30 to 40 yards. And time spent like this on a pattern board can take an average turkey hunter and make him an expert turkey hunter in a relatively short period of time. The first step of the spring gobbler hunt will be for the hunter to take the information that he's gathered while scouting and to go into the area where he feels sure that there are some gobblers located. In that area, he wants to find a logging road such as this one that we're on this morning, or either get along a ridge where the sound from his locator calls will carry throughout the forest. Once he gets on the road and waits until almost daylight, usually until he hears the first birds of the morning. This in many areas is a red bird. Once you hear these first birds, the thing you want to do is to try to get a gobbler to gobble at you. You must remember that the reason these gobblers gobble at the crack of dawn like this, that it's the mating season. And the birds have the hormones flowing in the body which create this mating urge. These hormones have caused a tremendous amount of energy to be built up in the bird, and at the first sign of daylight, any noise at a certain level will cause him to release energy, usually in the form of a gobble. The first sound that many hunters like to try is the hawk call. Try that a few times. If you don't get any response, the second most popular call is that it's known as an owl hooter, and it imitates the sound of the barred owl. Still no response. The third call, and the one that I favor, is the crow call. And what you want to do there is give 4 hard blasts with your crow call and then listen for the gobbler. What we want to do is try to close the distance to about 100 yards if possible. We're almost at that distance now, and we're going to sneak in and try to set up at the base of a tree. At this point, we settle down next to a tree, make sure that our camouflage is in order. I would pull down my face mask, make sure that our gloves are on, get in a good shooting position so that with a minimum amount of movement we can be ready to get in a firing position quickly and easily. The turkey, as we said, was out about 75 yards. Now I purposely picked this site here because I had scouted the area, I knew the terrain, it's open, and after studying the habits of the gobbler, we know that after sleeping all night, when the first rays of sunlight begin to show up in the east, he awakes, he's rested, he's ready to fly down from the roost, locate hens, and start his breeding activity first thing in the morning. And by studying the gobbler, we have also learned that the type locations he likes to fly down from the roost are in the edge of old fields or in open areas in the woodlands or along the logging roads, any open area, so that when he flies down he can see the hens that are located in that area, and also so that he can be assured that there's not a predator sitting in some thick area waiting on him. The next thing we do after we've got our camouflage in place is we want to go ahead and prepare to use our turkey call. And I'd reach into my hunting coat pocket, and at this point I'd pick out one of my diaphragm mouth callers. With the diaphragm mouth caller ready, I'd sit down for a few minutes, let the woods get quiet. Probably the gobbler will gobble another time or two while we're waiting. It's getting more and more daylight all along. The first thing I want to do is give him a low series of yelps. It's amazing how a gobbler can pinpoint your location just from that one series of yeps. And many times that's all the calling that's necessary for a morning hunt. If there aren't other hens nearby and the gobbler's ready to breed, once he hears that series of yeps, he's subject to fly down almost directly in front of you. Now, this is not always the case. Some gobblers play hard to get, and many times there are hens nearer the gobbler than you. So what you want to do in a case like that is not call too often and just wait. Then you may want to change the type call that you're using. You may want to go to the cackle, which is known by many hunters as the mating call. At that point, you want to be alert. Often the gobbler, when he hears the cackle of a hen, he'll come running. He'll run directly up to you. So once you make the cackle, be prepared to shoot quickly. Let's say that you've tried a series of yeps, nothing happened. You tried cackling. Still the gobbler, he'll probably gobble at you each time you do these things, but he's still out there somewhere. He probably has hens with him, and he's not interested in this one lone hen that you're imitating. The next step you may want to make will then to challenge him to sound like another gobbler has moved in and is trying to steal some of his hens away from him. At that point, you'll want to get into your hunting coat pocket and pull out your gobble box. You'll want to be careful. Ease the tissue paper off the lid, hide it somewhere under your leg. Take the gobble box and imitate a gobbler. At that point, you want to get your shotgun back up and in a ready position, because when he has been challenged, many times the gobbler again will come at a dead run. I've had as many as 2 gobblers come running at me at one time, ready to do combat with the intruding gobbler that has come in to try to steal the hens. At this point, I should point out, if you're hunting in a public area or in any type area where there may be other hunters, you want to be especially cautious when using the gobble box, because it's very easy for another hunter to think you're a gobbler. So you would want to know, be assured there's not another hunter somewhere very near you when you're using the gobble box. And many times, if the gobble box doesn't work, the cackle doesn't work, your series of yeps will not work, the turkey is leaving, he's going on with the other hens, you're going to be forced to have to get up and move in a semicircle, go around in front of the direction of travel of the gobbler, set up again. And at that time, you may want to change callers. You may want to go to a different type caller so that you sound like a different turkey. For this reason, I carry about 6 or 8 different type diaphragm callers in my caller box, and I may go to a raspier call or I may go to a finer call. What you want to do is sound like a different hen that's moved around and in front of the gobbler. And many times this will encourage him to leave the hens and go out in front of them to try to locate the hen that's in his route of travel. What you have to do is think a lot like a gobbler when you're working him. You've got a bird that's looking for you just like you're looking for that bird. He's sharp, he's got good eyesight, and no two situations are ever the same. I don't think that there's a freer feeling that a hunter can have than when he is hunting the wild turkey. Just about the time you think you have an old gobbler figured out, he'll pull a trick on you never heard of before. Turkey hunting is a sport which you have to be inventive. You have to try things that normally people would not try, but in this particular sport, try new things. I guess one of the things that I like most about turkey hunting is it gives me an opportunity during the spring of the year to spend a heck of a lot of time out in the woodlands. It's nice to be out there. It's a fresh time of the year, early spring. Turkey hunters are quick to realize that it is a sport that grows with you every year.
For more information on other films in the Sportsman's Workshop video library, please contact Warburton Productions.